Hi, my name is Miss Patton, or also known as Alyssa Patton when I'm not in the classroom. And today we are going to be working with an eighth grade ELA lesson. So this lesson is an introduction to folktale stories. So this is kind of a way to get students excited and energized and engaged when it comes to our new folktale unit. Couple things to note. I'm going to be kind of popping in and out of the lesson just so I can explain what I'm looking for, my rationale for doing certain things, and just anything I feel like is important to know. Cool, let's jump in. All right, team, I'm so excited for today. We are starting our new unit on folktales. Woo! All right, we're going to get started by reading our two learning targets up at the top. Let's see, Alexis, go ahead and unmute, read out that first one for us. Alexis unmutes if she reads out that first learning target. Beautiful, Alexis. Let's see, Jaden, go ahead and read out that second learning target for us. Jaden unmutes also. Beautiful speaker. All right, thank you, Jaden. We're going to be using these two learning targets to be successful in our ELA work for today. Let's take a look at folktales. What I want us to do before I do now, take the next minute in the chat and type in what are some of the folktales that you've heard of that you grew up reading about or hearing about. And if there's a folktale in the chat that you're like, yes, I love that one too, make sure you let that person know. Okay. So go ahead, take the next minute in that chat to put in the folktales that you've heard of. Go ahead and get started. Oh, Elijah, you had that one ready. That was super quick. Love seeing that in my chat. Gotcha, Sarah. That one's a classic. Brianna, I feel like you might know a folktale. She says she doesn't know one. Let me go ahead and chat you and see if you know. All right, I just chatted Brianna to say Cinderella's is like the model. See, I knew you knew that one, Brianna. All right, take about 10 more seconds. Y'all love seeing the chat full of these responses. Yes, I'm seeing a connection with Micah and Jaden too on the folktales that they know. Beautiful. So it seems like we're already kind of pros when it comes to folktales. We are going to crush this unit. All right, let's take a look back at our packets. So when we are looking at folktale stories, there are 4 main steps to reading folktales. So anytime you encounter a story and it says folktale, you're going to need these 4 steps. Let's take a look. Step number 1, our characters. We got to know who's in the story. Step number 2, character traits. So things that are essential to the person. So remember, these are different from emotions. So it's not about a person being happy or sad or excited or joyful. This is about what is central to a person, right? So if I'm describing myself, I might say, Miss Patton is so funny and hilarious. She's detail-oriented and studious. Those are things that are essential to me, that they're not changing. I will never not be funny, so those are who I am. And then number 3, how the character traits impact the story and plot. And 4, what is the lesson learned? So the lesson or the theme that comes from reading the story. Now, as we go through, we're going to be looking for these 4 things and we're going to highlight them in their respective color. So characters, purple, character traits, blue, impact, orange, and then lesson in green. Cool? So when I come through those documents, I should see annotations and highlights that look like this. For today, we are going to be reading a story called Anansi and Nothing. And yes, nothing is this is like a person, not just nothing is there, but like an actual person. So this is an African folktale. And a lot of times with African folktales, they are centered around a trickster character, right? So when you think of trickster people, think of Loki. If you have any Marvel fans in here. Thank you, Elijah. I knew you had my back. Yes, like a Loki type character. They're there to kind of just cause havoc and stir the pot, but there's always going to be a lesson we can learn from them in the meantime. So as we read, we're going to start with our first 2 paragraphs. We're going to be looking for who are our characters and what are some of their traits. And sometimes we're going to need to make an inference, but that's okay. All right, we're going to start by popcorn reading. Do I have any takers on this first paragraph? Ooh, Alexis, that hand went up so quick. Go ahead and take that first paragraph for us. All right, so out of the model, I really love having students being able to unmute and share out or read out or popcorn read, especially online, it's kind of hard to have like discussions. And I don't want it to just be my voice in the room, but everyone's voice. And I feel like popcorn reading is a great way to get other voices in the classroom. Okay, back in. All right, so let's take a look at our first paragraph. Who are our characters? Let's see. Jaden, go ahead and unmute for me. Jaden says, Anansi and nothing. Beautiful, Jaden. What color am I going to highlight that in, Jaden? Purple. Yup, somebody was paying attention. I'm going to highlight Anansi and nothing, our two main characters in purple. Oops, that's not purple. That is a different color. There we go. Cool. All right, next paragraph. Go ahead and take that one. Sarah, go ahead and unmute. So again, Sarah's going to unmute. She's going to read, and she does an amazing job. All right, so in this paragraph, we kind of get some insight to who Nothing and Anansi are. Let's take a look and see what we can delineate their character traits to be. Now, if you have any guesses, go ahead and throw them in the chat. How would you describe Nothing, and how would you describe Anansi? Go ahead and let me see those chats. Ooh, great, Alexis. Looking good, Jaden. Elijah, quick hint. I want you to go back, take a look at what is it that they both kind of value. What can you tell from that second paragraph? Take 10 more seconds. All right, go ahead and pause. I need Brianna to go ahead and unmute, share out. How would you first describe Nothing? Nothing is like really humble and like he seems really cool because even though he's rich, he like gives his clothes to Anansi, so he's a good friend. Beautiful. Everything about what Brianna just said goes to a person's character. So not just an emotion, but who he is. All right, now let's talk about our friend Anansi. How would we describe Anansi? Jaden, go ahead and unmute. Yeah, Anansi is like, he's really materialistic and he really cares about his appearance. Anybody else agree? If you agree, put that in the chat. See, Jaden, the whole class agrees with you, dude. I totally agree. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight those examples or the text evidence that shows us these character traits. So for our blue color, Jada, I'm gonna have you unmute. What is the part that told you about Anansi? Okay, so he says this part right here. While they were on their way, Anansi persuaded Nothing to change clothes for a while. It tells us he probably cares about how he's looking if he is worried about the clothes that he has on. What about Nothing? Let's see, going to Sarah, what evidence can tell us about how Nothing, his character traits are? Okay, so we can take this first part here. Beautiful, Sarah. Nothing being a rich man wore a very velvet cloth. So even though he has on these like fancy duds, he does donate them to Anansi. All right, out of the model. So we would kind of do the same format, working through the text. So we would then be looking for how the character traits impact the story or plot. So really in paragraphs 3, 4, and 5 is where students would find that. So pretty much that Anansi, even though he's made this like big game for himself and he's got all the girls, on the way home, he's like, whoa, the girls are like, whoa, you look like you were rich, but you're not. And the other dude has servants and like a big house and a mansion, and we're having to live off of, you know, like the scrap food over here. And so they get really upset with him pretty much. So then we will be looking for the lesson learned, which is taken from the character's impact or the character traits impact. Okay. So basically that, like, because Anansi was so worried about his appearance, he wound up like killing Nothing. And so, yeah. So team, we are going to now look down at those post-reading questions. So first question is, what is the overall theme of the folktale? And then number 2, what piece of evidence best supports the overall theme? So I want us to think back, what was the impact of Anansi's character traits and how did they influence the rest of our story? Okay, go ahead and try out question 1 for me and go ahead and get started. Let's see, Michael, going over to you first. Beautiful, Michael, you've got that right answer. Go ahead and move on to question number 2. Sarah, let's see. Ah, good, Sarah. Team Bree, you're crushing these questions. Heading over to Alexis. Okay, out of the model. So when I'm looking at Alexis's screen, I'm seeing here that she has picked A, which is kind of a distractor theme, that what you wear is important. And so the way I would handle this is I would, and I've put in comments over here so that you all can see. So I've put in that I would have her think about what are Anansi's values in those first 3 paragraphs, right? Because we know that he values the way he looks, but then we need to look at the impact. So she can understand the fact that, yes, he values material things and he values how he looks. The impact of that is something very negative in that he loses his wives and he ends up killing nothing. So if we can get to that, then we can put this in of be true to yourself. Don't try and be something that you're not, because we know that like this all happened because he was trying to be something that he wasn't. Okay, back in the model. All right, let's see. Let's go team. Jaden, heading over to your doc. So similar thing popping out of the model with Jaden is that he has picked C, which is not incorrect because nothing doesn't listen to his wife, and that's why he ends up dead. But it is not our best answer. So I would again have him go back and look specifically at Anansi and his actions and what he values to get to the correct thing. All right, team, take about 30 more seconds. If you have not yet, move on to question number 2. What evidence best supports the overall thing? Micah crushing it once again. Beautiful. Let's go over to Sarah. Sarah, I want you to take a close look at what your theme was for question 1, because you were correct. Take a look and see which one of these pieces of evidence could best fit that. So look at both parts of your answer for 1 and make sure that your text evidence aligns. Let's go over to Elijah. Looking good, Elijah. Also, the correct answer for this would be A, because he's dressed in these found garments. He gets all the wives, but this is kind of like the start to the destruction that happens later. All right, team, take a couple more seconds and we're going to keep it moving. All right, go ahead and pause right there. Let's see. We are going to try out a little something. So for question number 1, if you got A, raise your hand. If you got B, raise your hand. C and D. All right, if you got B, give yourself a little pat on the back. Actually, we all pretty much got to B. We did amazing with that one. And then number 2, I'm going to have one person share out. What was the evidence that best supported that overall thing? Let's go over to Alexis. What did you get? I got A. Awesome, Alexis. Now let's push you. Why did you pick A? I picked A because it showed that like he was trying to like be all cool and different and wealthy when he really wasn't. And that's what caused him to lose everything in the end. A1. So we're going to finish and we're going to put it all together. What is the overall theme of the folktale? And be sure to use a piece of evidence to support your answer. So I would have students do this, put it all together, because getting to the theme and the evidence is great, but we also have to be able to explain the evidence. So I want to see what is it in the evidence that is actually cluing them in to what the theme is. And that is an introduction to folktale stories for 8th grade English. Hope you all enjoy.